Today's topic is getting to know your banker. So we have as a guest speaker, José Sandoval. He is a personal banker here in town. He's going to be talking to us about the importance of building this relationship with your banker and why. So let me tell you a little bit more about José. José Sandoval is an AVP and Financial Center, an AVP Financial Center Manager with American National Bank and Trust Company. He is a native of Michoacán, Mexico, and has called North Carolina home since the age of 4. Today, José has over 13 years of experience in banking, having worked as a teller during college and now managing 2 retail offices and being the lead retail lender for our Greensboro area. He serves as on several local boards and finds it very important to be involved in the local community. José has a degree in business administration with a focus on economics. Welcome, José, and thank you for being our guest speaker today.
Thank you, Yubi. So it's not a coincidence that the last name, Yubi, is my lovely wife. So wanted to point that out first thing. Good afternoon, everyone. As Yubi mentioned, my name is José Sandoval. I am a financial center manager with American National Bank and Trust. Before I go into it, I just want to share a little bit about me. I have been in banking for over 13 years. As Yubi mentioned, I climbed the corporate ladder, started out as a teller during college and worked my way up to where I am today, where I manage our both retail offices for the Greensboro area. I'm the Greensboro lead lender, retail lender, and I also do construction loans for all of North Carolina. So anybody looking to build a home, and they choose to go with us as their bank, then I would walk them through that process. Personally, you've met my lovely wife, and we've got a soon-to-be 1-year-old baby girl, and life-changing since the minutes she came into this earth. Why I got into banking was really out of pure necessity. I was in college and I needed a job. So at the time, teller positions paid what I needed. So I got into banking, soon realized that I liked it. So I decided to make a career out of it. Now, banking was not my first career choice. Banking was actually my third. I'm like most students going into college, I did not know what I wanted to do. So it took 3 tries, but the third did it for me. So I say that so you get to know a little bit about me, and hopefully some of those topics bring up some discussion with us. I really want this session to be very fluid and a 2-way street. You guys really can drive this conversation where you want it to go. The title of it is Getting to Know Your Banker, but my job is actually really getting to know you. And so I really want to let it be known that your bankers are someone that you should be able to call, pick up the phone and call to access. So I'll get into that in a little bit more. But I do want to start out the conversation with a disclaimer that what I share with you today is not the be-all, do-all in banking. Banking is a very personalized area. So you don't, there's not one certain product that is going to fit everybody, nor is there one certain bank that is going to fit everyone. And that's why you see a variety of large banks, small banks, credit unions, because we all offer different things, and depending on your current stage in life and situation, one may attract you more versus another. So I did want to start out with that. So going back to leading the conversation to the session to more of a conversation than me just being on here and talking the entire time. Sam, if you would go ahead and go put the poll up. So here's a poll of, while I talk a little bit more, think about these topics. These are just some topics that, that I see on a daily basis. And if any of these or all of these interest you, please click on those and submit them and let me know if you want to dig a little bit more into it. Also, if you have any other topics that you really want to talk about, feel free to put it in the chat or send it to UV or send it to myself, and we can certainly start discussing those as well. Again, this is open for discussion. I learn by doing. So if I tell you that your banker is someone that you should be able to rely on and be able to call when you have a need or question or just curious, I want to try it out for myself first. I'm not just going to go off somebody's opinion. So that's how I want to really handle this session. So feel free to throw in some questions or select out of the choices that are there. So let me start off with a couple of slides here.
We're trying to get that poll question out. I apologize for the technical difficulties. So give us a couple of minutes. If you want to go ahead. Okay. Well, I think has everyone voted?
And then they can keep this up. I'm going to go into a little bit more of what banking is. So you can keep voting if need be. So I wanted to start out with what a bank does. So what do we do? In very simple terms, we basically take deposits in, pay an interest on it, and I know what you're thinking. Interest is little to nothing right now, and that is very true. So we pay interest on it, and then we turn around and take those deposits and loan them out. And charge an interest for those loans. So the way we make money is we take the interest that we charge on the loans and deduct whatever interest we paid for those deposits, and that's our profit. That's how we make a profit as a bank. Again, that is a very simplified way of explaining what we do. There is a lot more that goes into that, and there's a lot more that we actually do on a daily basis. But again, just to give you a little bit of information as to what a bank's primary goal or objective is, and how we turn a profit. So one of the topics is how to automate your savings, and so that's great. That's one thing that I talk about a lot with my clients. So before I go into that, I did want to talk on a couple of points that why it's important for you to have a banker in your contacts list and stay connected with that individual. So I'm talking about my perspective working for a community bank. I've always worked for a community bank during my 13 years in my career. So this may look different for a credit union, it may look different for a larger bank, but in reference to a community bank and the experience that I've had and that I've seen with my colleagues as well in other community banks, your banker should be a person that you can go to access information. Someone that is going to have answers for you. And you're probably thinking, well, Jose, what's the difference between that and going on Google or going on YouTube and looking up that information? Well, as I mentioned earlier, Banking is very personalized. You are you can go on Google, you can go on YouTube and try to figure it out on your own, and you probably will at some point. But it's going to take some time versus picking up the phone and calling your banker and saying, "Hey, I'm looking to buy my first house. What do I need to do to prepare to get to that point?" And so the banker, if it's a good banker, they're going to know you. They're going to know your life stage. You're going to know your current situation, your current income, and all that stuff to determine, okay, these are options A, B, and C. And then they are able to narrow down what you need to do to achieve your goal. So again, you probably could find that online at some point, but Googling your current life stage and trying to figure out what the best product for you currently is, it's going to be a little difficult. So the banker is going to have information for you. And if it's like most community banks, it's going to be free. So it's not going to cost you anything. Myself, I don't work off a commission, so I get paid whether I do $1 million in loans or whether I do $100,000 in loans a month. It doesn't really matter to me. So I'm not going to pressure you, and nor should your banker pressure you to do things or go with products that aren't for your best interest. So those are a couple of things to look out for as far as a community bank goes. Again, for a larger bank or for a credit union, that may look a little different. This is just my experience through a local community bank. So with that said, another thing that your banker will offer is connections. Through banking, we see all types of people. We see all folks that are that from different industries. We see from somebody that could fix some drywall to an attorney who's been in the area for 20, 30, 40 years that knows everyone and can connect you to just about anyone that you want to get connected with. So a banker is also useful for connections. Now, I will say, I personally do not recommend one individual. I do give our clients the option of choosing from a group of folks. If they're asking me for a referral for an attorney, for example, I try to give them a list of 3 or 4 that that I know of, and then I'll ultimately let them make the decision of who they want to go with. So the second point is connections that your banker can offer. The third, and this one kind of just came about during the whole COVID shutdown. Not sure if many of you are aware, but the federal government actually had a stimulus package for small businesses. Well, the stimulus package when it was funneled through the banks, and when that was done, we were overwhelmed with calls, emails, text messages about, hey, I want to get into this program. I'm a small business owner, and I want to get into this program to help pay my employees their paychecks. Well, the downside to that was that a lot of folks out there did not have a bank, did not have somebody to go to. And so, unfortunately, there was a lot of people that were left out of this program, and eventually that money ran out. We had calls just about every day from folks saying, "Hey, my bank isn't helping me, or it not willing to assist me with this program, or they're not involved in it." And unfortunately, we prioritized on our customers first. So the first wave, we went through and prioritized on our customers, got our customers through the program. Then after after that, obviously we helped anyone that we could. But again, the money ran out, and unfortunately, some folks were left out without these funds. So that's a third. I know that may not ever happen again, but it just reiterates why it's so important to have a banker as a contact point. So let's go into the automated savings. So automated savings can work on 2 or 3 different ways, depending on how comfortable you are with yourself and how much or the lack of trust that you have in yourself. And I say that because I see folks that come to me and say, "Hey, Jose, I want um, uh, I want to start saving for my child's college. So out of every paycheck, I want to put $50 into a savings account. I get paid twice a week, so every 2 weeks, put $50 from my paycheck into my child's savings account." Okay, great. That's not the end of the discussion. So we've got to talk about, okay, so let's just call this person Joe. Okay, Joe. Let's see. Are you okay doing that transfer every month? No, I'm not. And actually, I don't trust myself into remembering to do that. So can you set it up for me? I just want to forget about it. I want to set it up and never have to worry about it again. I said, sure thing. So we walk through that process and we get them set up to automatically every Friday that his paycheck hits, there's $50 that rolls into their child's savings account. So that's one option. There are a number of other options through either your payroll service or HR departments that can definitely help you through that process that may or may not involve your banker. And I do apologize. As I mentioned earlier, I do run 2 offices, so I get notifications quite often. So if you hear a ding, that's either my email or my messenger coming up. So it's savings is a very important thing, and certainly your banker can help you um, uh, get to that. Also, if you've got a savings goal, we can sit down with you and say and look at your budget, see what your monthly income is, what your goal is, and how long it would take you to save up to that point. Buying a home, for example, in certain situations, you need a certain percentage down, depending on how big of a house you want to buy and depending on your current life situation. So, for example, there are programs out there where a first-time home buyer can buy a home without having to put any money down. So those programs are sometimes federal or state programs, and they come and go. So it just depends on whether you're a first time home buyer or if they're offering those types of programs. Um, so you may not have to put anything down. And then there's another case. Me personally, we bought our second home back in December, and because it was our second home, we actually had to put 5% down. So in those cases, you have to save up a little bit more to be able to get into your second home. So that's again, I can't stress how important it is that you personalize the banking relationship that you have with your banker because they're going to try to work with your needs in your current stage in life. UB, the poll went away. Do you still have that up? Oh, there it is. Sorry. So I touched a little bit about the automated savings, and then the second two is buying a home and starting a business, the 2 most popular ones. So starting a business is something that a lot of folks really struggle with because a lot of banks will not lend to an individual who is coming straight out of college who wants to just start their business and they need $50,000 to get their widget started or to open up a storefront or whatever it be. And the reason behind this is because you don't have that history. It's your history in the business is going to be like your credit score as an individual. Um, you have to have history in order to have a score. So you have to have history in your business in order to be able to prove, hey, to your banker, I'm able to make these payments. I'm able to pay you back this loan. So unfortunately, for a lot of small or startups, it's very difficult to get to that point. But the conversation that you start with your banker is a starting point. They can walk you through the process. This is what you need to do. This is what I need, A, B, and C, in order to later down the road be able to help you. They may not be able to help you right then and there, but they're giving you a starting point and be able to guide you through that process so that one day you're able to open that storefront or you're able to mass produce your widgets, whatever it may be. And they can also give you ideas for other types of financing. The Chamber of Commerce has a startup program that they take in folks that want to start a business and help them out through that process as well. Now, this is more of the structure of your business versus the financing, but they do try to put you in front of investors that can help you with the finance. I touched a little bit about buying your first home. So there are a number of things that go into play with trying to buy your first home. I talked about your down payment. It could range anything from 0 to up to 5 or 20%. It just depends on your situation. And it also depends on your credit. Your credit plays a big role in buying your home, getting a loan, and credit is something that I work a lot with clients. I had a client who had who never used the bank. They paid cash for everything. Now that is great. That is great if you can do that. However, in today's world, that's not seen very often. And so this individual got saved enough to put 30% down on their first home. Unfortunately, because they didn't have any credit history, they could not get a loan, regardless of how much money they had to put down. They would have had to pay cash for that home if they really wanted to get into it. And so by working with the client, we were able to help them out. It took 2 years because they had no credit history whatsoever. It took 2 years to finally get them to the point where they could purchase their first home. So it's unfortunately, credit is not something that is a one-time fix or one-time turnaround. It's something that you consistently have to work on and consistently keep up with. So buying a home, your credit, and money down is two of the most important topics. And then there's a lot more that comes into play. But if you're just looking to get started, those two are the two that I suggest some folks focus on to start out.
Jose, we have a question that has come in, and we can answer it now, or I don't know if you have something lined up down the road that will answer it. But how much should you be saving while trying to prioritize debt payoff?
That's a great question. So it's going to depend on your current situation. However, I suggest this: always save. No matter how much debt you have, always try to save a little bit of your income. If your employer offers a 401k program and they are able to match your contributions to that, match or deposit the max amount that you can up to where they will match. So if they say we'll match up to 6% of your contributions, then start out with 6%. Now, 401k is money that goes to your retirement. So that is long term. I always suggest before you start in a job, look into if the company offers a 401k match and automatically sign up for it. And here's the reason why. When you get your first paycheck, what do? You look at your paycheck and you say, huh, I worked 40 hours. This is my paycheck. This is what I'm going to be getting every 2 weeks or every month or however often that you get paid. So you get accustomed to that dollar amount. And if you go ahead and sign up for your 401k contributions, when you get that first paycheck, your contributions are already going to be taken out. So you're mentally preparing yourself to work off of a certain dollar amount or a certain budget, and you're automatically saving. And on top of that, your employer is also matching your contributions, so it's free money. So that's one way that you could save and at the same time pay off debt. So pay off debt. There's Gordon Ramsay, not Gordon Ramsay, he's a chef. Dave Ramsey is a famous author, and he has a strategy that's called the snowball strategy for paying off debt. How it basically works is you make a list of all your debts and then what the minimal payment is on each debt. I do this with my student loans and any type of loan that I have. I've got a list of those loans, and I've got the minimal payment on them. And I've done this a couple of times throughout life, and it works. It gets in your psyche, and it really works. So you list your debts and then the minimal payments, and then you look at those and you determine how much do you have out of your income to pay off those debts. So let's say, for example, just using easy numbers, you've got 5 bills, and the minimal payment for those 5 bills is $25. So you total all the 5 up, and you've got a total payment of $125 each month. Well, let's say I've got income to use towards paying off debt of $200. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay 1, 2, 3, and 4 the minimal balance. So 4 of those debts, I'll pay off the minimal balance of $25. So that's $100. So I'm left with another $100. That 5th debt, I'm going to be putting the $100 towards that 5th debt. I forgot to mention one thing is you put them in order from the amount you have less debt to the amount you have the most. So the one you have least amount of debt on is the one you're going to start paying off first. So every 2 weeks or every month, I'm going to put $100 towards the least amount of debt. So let's say a credit card. I've got $500 on a credit card, and the minimal payment's $25. So I'm going to put $100 on that credit card every 2 weeks until it's paid off. So $100, $500 in 10 weeks, that credit card's paid off. So now what you've done, you've reduced your bills from 5 to 4. Now you've got 4 bills with, again, $25 minimal payment on each one of them, and you still have the same $200 to put towards those debts. So again, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to look at your bills, and you're going to see at which one has the lowest debt on it. So the next one, let's say it's another credit card, but this one's for $800. So you make $25 payments on the first 3, and that's $75. Now you have $125 to go towards that other debt, and so you pay it off quicker because it's, again, the snowball effect, and you're paying down more in bigger chunks. That's one way of paying off debt. Again, it's really going to depend on you, how comfortable you are, and what budget you're working with to put towards paying off debt, and then what budget you're using to put towards savings. I do suggest you having $1,000 of emergency money. Car breaks down, you need you have to have some dental work, you know, that's never fun, and it's annoying to have a toothache. Things that come up that you are not expecting, that's what those $1,000 are good for. And trust me, it helps when your car breaks down and you don't have money to pay for it, but you have those $1,000 there, and you can use them. And so I do suggest an emergency fund. Later down the road, I do suggest you having at least 6 months worth of your income in case something like this pandemic were to ever happen again. I hope that wasn't too much to answer your question. I do see a second one here.
Yep.
So the question is, what if the company does not offer a 401k? Should you put money into a savings account? Yeah, absolutely. So into a savings account would be one choice. You also have an option to set up your own retirement fund. There are IRAs that you can set up that, depending on your current tax situation, you can contribute to those IRAs, and the interest earned on those investments are tax-free, so you don't have to pay taxes for them. So yes, that is one type of savings, and there's also just a regular savings account. Once you get a little bit more money in that savings account, and you can bump it up to what's called a money market that pays a little bit more interest, and you get more bang for your buck. And then there are also other products that come into play once you start saving up a lot more. But savings account and an IRA is what I would recommend if your company does not offer a 401k.
There's another question, Jose. It says, you can keep going, but just wanted to let you know. Marissa is asking, what are ways in which you can continue to build your credit to prepare to buy a home in a couple of years?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. And the good thing about that question is that you're preparing for it. So banks look at what type of credit history you have. So they look for three trade lines that you have in your credit history. And what I mean trade lines is anything that's reported to your credit. So they look for installment loans. So if you have any type of like a car loan or student loan, something that's structured, that's a fixed payment each month, and you have a goal of to pay off. That's an installment loan. And then they look at revolving. You have two revolving trade lines on your credit history. So that can be a credit card, that can be a credit line from your bank, so anything that you're able to pay off and reuse as many times as you want. So those three things is primarily what they look for. And if you have more questions as far as what your credit score should be, or other details about your credit, credit is one of those things that that follows you. And unfortunately and fortunately, banks really focus on your credit, and things. We know things go on and things happen that either you have no control over, or that you messed up in your past, and we understand that. As bankers, it's our responsibility to sit down with you and go over those things and determine, hey, is this something to really reject this person for? And what I mean about that is your credits can be tarnished over a spouse passing away. Think about if you're married, you've got a house, you've got a car payment, all of a sudden your spouse passes away, now you're left with one income. Well, the banker is going to sit down with you and look at those things and say, okay, so we know that your spouse passed away and you were left with all these bills, and that's why you have all these past dues, or that's why you had to just return the car because you couldn't keep up with the payments. And so that's something that's one topic that you really can use that guidance from a banker to help you walk through that process and get you prepared to buying a house. Now, if your credit isn't tarnished or your credit or you don't have any credit, those it's fantastic. You've got a great starting point. I really like working with folks that don't have any credit because they can maneuver it to their liking. They can have the credit card that they want. They can have the installment loans that they want. Now, it takes some time. So I will say, if you are looking to prepare to get to that point to buy a home, um, start now. I mean, go out and get a credit card and be responsible about it. When I say go out and get a credit card or go get an installment loan, I don't mean go and max it out every chance that you get. I certainly made my mistakes when I was younger. When I had my first credit card, I was in college and I didn't pay it on time, and so that hurt my credit. The good thing is that things fall off of your credit. So typically they stay on your credit history for about 7 years, and after about 6 or 7 years, they'll fall off. Or some bankers won't even take a look at them after, I would say, 4 or 5 years. They would see it on your credit history, and they wouldn't think too much of it because again, these are community folks that know you, that know your situation, and that are going to try to help you out and understand where you're at, and it can be able to assist you. So if I've got somebody that's saying I need to buy a house, but I had past dues 5 years ago, um, I would say don't worry about it. Just explain to your banker what happened and move forward. Hopefully that will work. And if you've got the right banker, I'm sure it will. So I hope that answered your question. Um, Another question about I've heard about 0% interest credit cards. Where do you find those, and how do you manage them? So that is one great tool. That's a tool that I've used. Um, so 0% interest credit cards are rare in these times due to COVID. Mostly because credit cards do not want to overextend folks. So today, the 0% credit cards are rare to find, but they're still out there. A lot of companies are offering, hey, if you open a credit card, we'll give you 18 to 24 months of 0% financing. And uh, you just have to open up a credit line with them and either meet a certain standard or a certain credit line, and they'll give you the 0%. A lot of times, a lot of your department stores. I bought floor tile for us redoing our bathroom, and I got 18 months of free financing or 0% financing for 18 months. So I had 18 months to pay my credit card. Again, I had to apply for their credit card and I had to use it that same day. So they are out there, and there are credit cards who will send you a blank check in the mail and will offer you something like we'll charge you an upfront 3%, and then we'll give you 24 months of 0% finance. That's another option. Now, I know a lot more banks are doing that because they do get a little bit of commission off of that upfront cost. And Chase is one of the banks that I've seen that does that. Capital One is another one of the banks that I see that do that. But again, these are bigger banks that are able to offer these products. In our current situation, we're seeing less and less these types of products come around, mostly because interest rates are low, are the lowest that we've seen in history. A buddy of mine texted me the other day, and they were able to offer a client 15-year mortgage at 1.85. 1.85 is unheard of. Now, that was a one-time deal. He hasn't seen that interest rate come up again. But I believe them. Current rates for mortgages are around 3%. That is almost free money. So if you can't get quite the 0%, I would at least shoot for the 1 or 2%, depending on what you want to do with the credit card. I would suggest going that as an alternative. If I had a little bit more information as far as what you're wanting to use it for, I could give you a little some more options. There are certainly options to do an equity line or second mortgage on your home, or use a credit line from a bank who offers an introductory rate at 0%. So there are other options in there. It's just a matter of talking to folks or searching around. I like to use NerdWallet a lot. I go in there searching for credit cards all the time. I am one of those that searches for the 0% deals because they come handy. I mean, it's free money basically if you pay it off within the time frame that they are offered. And you did ask how do you manage this? That's the key of those deals, is paying it off before that time frame is over. Because depending on the credit card, they may charge you interest on what you owe at the end of that promotion, or they may charge you interest on the entire balance that you started out with. So be careful on those. It does take a little bit of upkeep and keeping up with those promotions, because you can get burned. And making sure you're making at least a small payment each month, because they do want to get paid, at least their minimal payments. So keep those two things in mind when you find a credit card at 0%. Oh, you're welcome. So we talked about building credit, first-time home buyers, automatic savings, starting a business. Banks and bankers also offer other types of things. We don't just do loans or deposits. We also are a resource to folks. I had a call just yesterday of a young man who was traveling, going to look at schools to possibly enrolling in. And he was out in Denver and his debit card wasn't working. Well, us being a community bank, we don't have a location in Denver. So I tried my best to help the individual. We looked at his card, we determined what the error was and fixed it. But I also gave him some options. Hey, if you've got a mailbox that we can send this debit card to you. Now, again, I don't do this for everybody, but in this current situation, he was going to be out there in a week for a week and a half, and he needed money. Did not know anyone in the location, so I offered to mail him a debit card to either the school, or if he knew someone in the area, I could mail it to them. Fortunately, we got the debit card working, and he was able to access his account. So that's just a small conversation that I've had in the past, or a situation where the individual knew who to call, and we were able to get on it and help him with his situation. I've got another question. Is it ideal to have more than one credit card, like from a retail store and another one from someone? Yes, it is. Because creditors, like credit cards or banks, we don't always report to all three credit bureaus. We should, and but not everybody does. So if, for example, if you're trying to build your credit and you've got one credit card, but that credit card's provider only reports to one of the three credit bureaus, you're going to have a fantastic credit score for one, and the other two, they're not going to have any idea of that credit card. So they're not going to give you credit. They're not going to give you that history. They're not going to give you the payments on time for that credit card. So it's always best to have at least two, and then going back to having one for a retail store, and then otherwise, I suggest having just a general credit card, whether that be a MasterCard or a Visa that you can use anywhere. because those typically report to all 3 credit bureaus and they're accepted everywhere. And another perk to those is that you possibly can get some benefits out of it. I personally have a cash reward card. So when I spend money, I get a certain percentage back from those purchases. And we actually use those rewards to go on vacation. Granted, they don't cover all of our vacation costs, but it is good to say, hey, we've got some extra cash. Let's go out and do a nice dinner or do something extravagant that we typically wouldn't use because we're on a budget. So the perks again to having one of the large credit cards is to have a reward set up with. And then the retail stores, they offer promotions all the time, whether it's financing. Lowe's and Home Depot offers the 12-month or 18-month financing, or you get 5% off of your purchase. So those are always perks that are benefits to you. Hope that answered your question. I have another one come up. Because of COVID, we are currently locked down almost completely. And do you know if some bankers are willing to meet virtually? Absolutely. Absolutely. I have met with a total of maybe 9 clients since COVID, since we were shut down in person. Everything else has been virtually or through email or through phone calls, through Zoom, through Teams. Yes, your banker should be able to meet with you and fit your needs. Banks are getting more technologically savvy. You're able to open an account online, or you're able to call your banker and say, hey, can you open up an account for me and send my disclosures to me via email and sign everything electronically? Sure. And then here's your account number. Here's how to set up your direct deposit. You get everything set up over the phone or through email. And loans are the same way. The only reason I met with those individuals in person was because I was doing a loan closing, and a couple of the documents that I was preparing or needed their signature for actually needed a notarized signature. So that's the only reason I met with them. Otherwise, I would have been able to do everything for them virtually. So absolutely, yes, your banker should be able to meet with you and help you out with whatever it is that you need. Now, I will say, be a little lenient because they are going to ask you for probably some verification questions or documents that they typically would not ask you if they were meeting you in person. If you see someone and you have their driver's license, you're going to compare the pictures and say, oh yeah, this is this person. If you're doing a Zoom call or you're doing an email communication, that's not so easy to do. So in today's world, there's a lot of fraud and a lot of things that people should not be doing. And that's another topic I wanted to cover is when bad things do happen to your accounts, your banker should be able to help you. And that's another reason why you need to stay connected with them because fraud is on a rise. And because of COVID, we have seen some very, very unique situations where fraudsters are coming up with these wild ideas on how to get a hold of other people's money, and it's working at first. So once we catch on to it, a bank actually puts in programs in place to avoid some of that. So I know it's annoying to have them to verify your information every time you call, but if the banker doesn't know you or doesn't, you're getting to know the individual, they're going to ask you to verify your information for your security, and it's not something that they do to try to annoy you. So yes, that's you should be able to meet virtually. So that's something that is going to, you're ultimately going to have to make that decision. So the question is, I currently bank with a bigger bank. Should I move to a local bank that has more flexibility? Um, uh, and also has some questions about the location. So banks today, all banks have just about the same technology. Bank of America's online banking may look a little different from ours, but at the end of the day, it does the exact same thing. You're able to make transfers. You're able to make payments. You're able to send money to your friend who you went out to lunch with, and you forgot your wallet in your car, so they paid for lunch and you're reimbursing them. Easy. Let me send them a text or an email. They put in their banking information, and a couple of minutes later, they've got the money that they lended you for lunch. So so if you're concerned with locations, it really think about is how many times are you actually walking into a bank? More and more, we see less and less of people coming into the actual bank. So we are upping our game on technology. A lot of the small banks are, and we noticed that it's a lot more aesthetics than the actual processes that we do that attract our clients. And so we're making our online presence a little more aesthetically pleasing. Again, it's doing the exact same thing, making transfers, putting stop payments, looking at your account history, turning off a debit card if you lost it. So a lot of the local banks are offering a lot of what the big banks offer. And as far as you needing cash, a lot of the small banks, us for example, we actually give you a leeway on your ATM withdrawals from another bank. So what that means is we help you because we realize we are a small bank. This is a large footprint here in Greensboro and a lot of other cities. So we want it to be convenient for you to say, hey, I'm on the other side of town. My bank is 20, 30 minutes from me, but there's a Wells Fargo ATM right here. I'm going to use the Wells Fargo. So what American National does for our North Carolina folks is we'll reimburse that fee that Wells Fargo charges you because it's convenient for you to use that ATM. Again, every bank is going to be different and is going to be able to offer different things. That's just one perk that we offer as a local community bank, knowing that our physical presence isn't as big as your Wells Fargo's or Banks of America. But we still want to look out for you, your best interest, and the convenience of you not having to drive 20, 30 minutes just to get some cash. So I hope that answered your question as far as locations. And again, I suggest just sitting down and thinking about, okay, how often do I actually need a bank? You know, you can take pictures of your checks now. If your employer still pays with a physical check, you can take a picture of the check, and in a day or two, the money is in your account. Or you can do it at the ATM as well. So local banks do try to make it easier for you to bank with them, and more we're getting the same technology that these larger institutions are. Um, so I say that, and I say this as well. Just look at your situation as well. Are you an individual that is coming to the bank and getting $5,000 every 2 weeks? Now that's an exaggeration to prove a point. That type of person actually needs a bigger bank to be able to say, hey, I'm in California today. I'm going to walk into a local Bank of America and get my $5,000. What they're using that for, I have no idea. But just just wanted to set an example. And then the next week they're back in North Carolina, and then they can back and walk into a Bank of America here and get again those $5,000. Unfortunately, that's not the case for local banks. But how many people do you know that are actually doing those types of consistent transactions? Yeah, just sit down and analyze your current situation with your large bank and see if maybe switching over to a local community bank would fit your needs. Personally, I say yes, go for it. But that's just me being biased, working for for a local community bank.
Thank you, Jose. Please, if you have any other questions, type them in. I learn something every time Jose and I talk, even at home, because I don't always pay attention to some of these things. Margot's in the background, my daughter. But it's always good to have someone at hand who you can call and ask some of these questions to. And a personal banker, I'm lucky to have one at home, hands raised, literally. But it's good to have that relationship and build that relationship with your personal banker. And we highly encourage you to do that with, someone at your bank. So thank you again, Jose, for this presentation. Like I said, I've learned a lot. And I just want to thank you guys for joining us and being a part of this coffee break. I also want to remind you of a couple of things coming up, events that we have. August 11th, we have another financial session coming up with Tiffany Grant. And the topic is money management and crisis. So now what? So this will be with Tiffany. On August 20th at 2, we have SEO, Improving Your Online Presence as a Business, with Robert DeFeo. He is one of our most recent grads. And then also we have our book club, as you know, and our new read will begin this Thursday, August 6th. And it will be How to Be an Anti-Racist. We will have a virtual discussion live on August 25th, so more details to come. I'm looking forward to these virtual discussions. And then last but not least, Homecoming. As you guys know, Homecoming will be launching online, and we are excited as if we were going to have it in person. There are many topics that we are going to have coming up the week of. So it is a week-long homecoming with the biggest emphasis on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it'll be October 19th through the 24th. Be on the lookout for events, topics that interest you. So I hope that you can join us and be a part of Homecoming next, this coming up October. So thanks again and have a wonderful.
Hey, Yubi?
Yes.
Sorry, I had a presentation, but it wasn't working on my end, and I didn't want to stop the session, but I did have my my contact information on here. Am I able to send this to you to send out to the folks?
Yes, you can. We'll follow up with an email with this recording. I did see your question. Can I have access to the recording of the session? Yes, we will put this out. So thank you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good evening.